It's working.
It's finally working.
It's working. And
Hey.
we are post Mercury retrograde, so it should be working.
Yeah, 100%. And as you say that, my screen is glitching. So I thought Mercury retrograde's over, but it seems like it hasn't. So not for me.
Not
How
for
are
us.
you? Not for
Not
us.
for us. Um, really well, really well. As you can see, I'm sitting in my parents' garden and enjoying the blissful, beautiful evening in Poland. How are you?
Mm.
How is life? How is London?
Yeah, I mean, London is London. I'm looking outside my window and it's 20 degrees, but it's gloomy, it's raining, it's not what Poland looks like right now. So, yeah.
Then I'm sending you
Um,
a bit more of a nice sunset.
I mean, I wish I could have the same background, but unfortunately, I'm in my room today. So, but bright side, the weather is looking great in the next couple of days. So, yeah.
Perfect. Oh, I'm so beyond happy and honored that you joined this little adventure of the authentic hour. And I'm really looking forward to our little chat.
Yeah, me too, honestly. I mean, just taking a look at what you're doing and the work that's been going into this, it's great. And I think everyone could benefit from it. And I myself, will go into it in a little while, but I myself, really needed to hone into personal development and, trying to put boundaries between work and developing myself. So it's great to see what True Me is doing. So thanks
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, let's open the box.
Yes,
Naz.
Pandora's box. Let's go.
I had it at the end, so I was like, it's not so let's yes. Uh Tell us a little bit of your story, like how what brought you to the world of personal development and how it all happened.
Yeah, I mean, very interesting to start a very broad question, but yes, let's go for it. Um, the way I like to think of my journey is a series of different awakenings. So I was born in Beirut, Lebanon, which is a city of contrasts on its own. um, where you look at things like such as traditions meet chaos and beauty coexist with struggle. So I think for me, I entered the personal growth space not because I was quote unquote broken or because I wanted to fix something that I wasn't happy with within myself, but I think for me it was really honing in on success and leading with more power and more growth and more integrity and more with the idea of following my heart and my mind and my
Mm,
spirit rather than just conforming to what society has led us to believe over the last few years. So um, that is when I started to tap into personal development. And I think because I work in the tech space, um, you're always chasing the next big thing. It's always about innovation and resilience and strategy. And I think when I moved into or when I decided to tap into, how I could foster or develop, or tap into personal growth, it was really about how can I tap into my intuition? How can I feel more aligned? And how can I bring that
mm.
presence within the space? So that's that. But I think the real personal, growth did begin in 2020. And I think that's where it did begin for a few people, at least from, a very good group circle friend of mine. But I would say we were all under lockdown. It was,
Mm,
the time I moved to London and locked up in an apartment completely by myself, no television whatsoever. Um, I had lost someone very close to me at the time as well. So it was really a time for me to just really tap in and see what's happening on the inside and how I could work with other individuals,
Mm.
whether it's like yourself or, mindful people around the world to help me develop.
And spoiler alert, I know that on the journey of self-discovery, personal development, you tapped into Tantra, which is a very interesting subject in general. Um, how did it happen?
Yeah, very interesting question. It's a very interesting one because for a very long time I was very reluctant around speaking about how I got into Tantra, and I think for the very first time today, I'm happy to speak about it. Um, so the reason why, just to give everyone some background information, obviously as well, is I come from a Arab background. So as I mentioned, born and raised in Lebanon. So it really was considered to be more of a taboo. And I remember speaking to a very dear person that's very close to me, and I was speaking to him, and I was like, I think the world could, benefit from people knowing about what Tantra really is, because that's how I got into it. And he really
Mm,
pushed me to, further explore and put out the message and help
mm,
people because it really does help and heal. So to answer your question, I think. I wanted to go into Tantra. I genuinely wanted to go into Tantra because I felt like it was something that was very misunderstood, at least in my culture.
mm,
Um, it actually began when I was searching for something deeper. It was a way, going back to 2020, it was a time where I was trying to find ways to connect with my life, connect with others, and really go beyond the surface. So I tried many different paths. But I think I found myself in Tantra because it was very focused on self-expression, whether
mm.
that's through art or through laughter or through yoga or through, having different spiritual awakenings or body activations. Um, and particularly, I remember going to a class in London and doing a Kundalini workshop, and I really could relate to not only my instructor or the person giving the actual session, but the people around me. And I was like, these are my
Mm.
people. Like I go into the office from 9 to 5:30 and everyone's just very surface level. And I think what we're missing in life is, being
Mm.
reminded that, life has pleasure. You can explore life through intimacy, through connections, through touch, through dance, through movement. And that is what Tantra is.
So, like so many layers of us meeting ourselves in the world of who we are. But as you beautifully mentioned, we tend to live this office work, now remote work, and it's
Yeah.
so surface level, like, oh, how are you doing? Great, what are you gonna do? And then there's so much underneath it that actually makes the tapestry of life so colorful. It's so so beautiful, so
A
beautiful.
100%. And I think for me, a lot of times I got a lot of pushback, especially from like a lot of my friends. And they were like, why are you going into Tantra? What are you doing within Tantra? Tantra, again, the reason why I wanted to tap into it was not only to revolutionize, what Tantra is about, but because there was the closest people to me didn't understand it. And there's a taboo around it being, just a sexual act. But I think I use Tantra and I embody Tantra on my everyday life. I go into the office and it's how you communicate with different individuals, how you speak to different individuals, the way you portray your body
Yeah.
language. And it's these small things that can make all the difference for yourself and for the individuals that you're working with as well.
So to make it even clearer, sorry, for anyone who is still thinking of, oh yeah, I've heard about it, but it's a little bit this taboo topic. Like, um, how would you describe it in plain English for someone who is afraid of it?
Very good question. I would start off by saying it's a spiritual tradition or it's a spiritual practice that usually is practiced in Hinduism or Buddhism, but beyond that, I would say it's a spiritual tradition that you practice between you and yourself to
Mm.
expand your consciousness and achieve liberation. As simple as that. And you don't even need to go into, what form of liberation it is, whether
Yeah.
it's, a full body, activation or, whatever it is. You just feel free and you feel powerful and you feel magnetic and you feel all the good things once you just live by it on your day-to-day life.
I can feel this freedom through your words when you're just talking about it. It's so beautiful. So beautiful. Wow. Um,
Yeah.
how does this layers and tapestry of life and everything you just mentioned combines with authenticity?
Yeah, I think to answer your question, it would need to, and this is what Tantra is, right? It really is about how you weave everything together to make it work. And I think to answer your question, you need to identify or you need to define what authenticity is, because I believe being authentic or the word authenticity can mean different things to different people. Um, and I think the way you can weave in the two is it's about accepting yourself and to love
Mm,
yourself first. And it's really about accepting different parts of you that you might be aware of or that you might not necessarily be aware of. It might be things that people point out to you, it might be things that you discover on your own or in therapy. So it's for me, I think it's the courage to be seen and to accept who you really are without the extra layers or the extra fluff of what people say and what society defines you, but just like stripping everything and really
mm.
just taking it in as yourself.
And how does it feel? Because I fully agree with you. There's so many different layers of authenticity and different meaning of it. I remember there was I think one of the Huberman podcasts when he mentioned, okay, so when I'm going to the office and I'm telling everyone about my emotions, does it mean that I'm being authentic? I mean, not really, right? Because there's this element which we can grasp intellectually, but that's what I'm
Yeah.
asking. Like, how does it feel? Like, how would you describe your feeling of authenticity? How do you feel when you know that you're being authentic?
The thing that comes up immediately as you're speaking is you almost feel like your heart is wide open and you're able
Mm,
to give, but you're also able to receive. And I think this is the misconception in life, or at least in the workspace. I myself went through it. I was, I'm happy to share this. I came to the UK on a visa sponsorship because I required a visa to work here. And at one point, I felt like I just needed to give, 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 and give my all, without receiving in return. And yeah, at one point, and I stopped and I thought to myself, am I really being true to myself? Am I being authentic? Am I being fair to the people around me? Am I, living my truest self and being the truest version of me in this world if I'm just giving, giving, giving? And I think that answers the question, right? Because I think a lot of us fall into that trap, whether it's in relationships or in workspaces or in family dynamics, where you feel like you need to overcompensate and you start to resent yourself to a certain extent. So I think that's where you need to really be authentic and real with yourself in a world where it's full of noise and comparison, and really just it almost feels like you're leaving the light on in a very dark room and you're stripping everything off and you're just being your truest self. And yeah, just putting that out there as who I am in that dark room is who I am in the light outside.
yeah,
And that is authenticity.
beautifully and well said. And you, this element of I don't want to generalize and say that it's women who feel this way because I assume that there are men who feel in a similar way that we keep giving. It's almost like deep inside our brains, there is this small cell that keeps telling us that we are not good enough and we need to do something in order to deserve the acceptance, in order to deserve love, in order to, yeah, just to deserve. So we just keep giving, keep giving, keep giving. And it's, as you described, it's going to be in different setups, sometimes at work, sometimes at home, sometimes with a group of friends. But I like to think that it's almost like a universal rite of passage, that every single
Yeah,
person actually is going to have to go through that through their development of self-awareness, because that's this step. Once we overcome it and we realize that we are worthy the way we are, in our
100%.
best, in our light, in our dark, whatever situation we are in, that really is going to allow us to shine our light beautifully, as you said. So
100%. And unfortunately, I think with a lot of individuals, because we're human, it's majority of the time the case that you actually have to go through something to realize, you know what, this isn't right for me, or
yeah,
actually I'm kind of staying in the shadow. I'm not really being my truest version. I'm, and something is going wrong and I need to, make a change, make a switch. And that's where, that self-development kicks in essentially.
I had a conversation with a dear friend of mine a while back, when he said, it always happens this way. You need to go through something painful, you need to experience something painful, and then you're gonna grow. And at some point in my idealistic mind, I thought that, does it also always need to be the case? Is there a way to do it differently? Um, but I'm getting to, I don't think so. Like there always needs to be something.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, I wish the answer was no,
No.
but I wish I could say and combat his answer and say no. But I think in life, it usually is the case where you learn through your mistakes. And I've come to
Yeah.
realize that no matter what kind of mistake you've done, there are no regrets whatsoever. I was
Mm,
speaking to a friend the other day and he was telling me, I've been at my job for 8 years. I kind of want to start my own thing. I don't know what to do. I regret all the time that I've been, here. And I'm like, wait, stop. There is no regrets. All this is a
mm,
learning curve. This is where, through that you learned a lot. That's where, the personal development element comes in. And you take all that. This is who you've formed to become. And
yeah.
through that, you can actually work on, magnetizing what you really want.
Yeah.
Um, and it's unfortunate that life is like that, but I think it really is the case that sometimes you really have to face something tragic or major for you to realize this doesn't work for me.
Mm.
And that's why people say a rejection is a redirection. And that's something that I truly believe in. I used to think of it as something very negative, and I've rewired my mind to say, you know what? If this isn't working out, it's a redirection.
There
Um,
is a beautiful saying that the universe got only three answers. Yes, not yet. I've got something bigger for you.
there you go. There you there you go. And it usually is, if you were to look at it from a tantric perspective, it usually is there's something better for you. There's something
Mm,
bigger for you. What you give to the universe, what you sacrifice to the universe is going to come back to you in a different form or a different way. And I guess in the meantime, just to keep radiating and being the best version of yourself.
beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, and beautiful. Besides tantric practices, what helps you embody this best radiating version of yourself on daily basis? Is there something that helps you that you can share with all of us?
There's a few things, definitely. I mean, I could sit here and tell everyone, exercise and get your steps in and be under the sun and do all those things. But one thing to be very vulnerable with everyone is dance. Dance was, and the reason why I mention dance is because for, let's say, I'm in my 30s now, I'm 30, but for probably 25 years of my life, if not more, I was very uncomfortable with dancing and just moving and expressing with my body. And I think now, whenever I'm feeling down or whenever I feel stuck or whenever I feel, that I need that boost or whatever it might be, dance is my go-to thing, whether it's me going to dance class or me going dancing with my friends or dancing in my room or dancing in front of a mirror, like literally just turning on music and dancing. It ignites so much. Um, and I think it's very undermined in our, at least in my culture. And that's
Mhm.
why, and not even dancing in a specific way, just moving your body. Um, so that's one thing I love to do that helps a lot. And then one thing that I would say as well is after sitting on the desk from 9 to 5, again, I work in tech. I'm speaking to like VCs and investors and startups and scale-ups all the time. Um, it's coming to a point where it's almost like I need to call a friend and just have a proper heart-to-heart, conversation. With someone I love or someone who understands me
Mm.
and just not have to filter throughout my day and just be my genuine, authentic self again. So just having that heartfelt conversation really helps as well.
I'm gonna throw a little curveball.
Yeah, go for it.
Uh, Speaking of about tech world and the need of sharing, because I fully agree. I've got the same thing. I've got the same thing, and the first person I call is my mom. It is just natural, and I'm going for a walk, and I'm just chatting with my mom. But as I've been talking to some people recently, the more and more I realize some of them are doing it with ChatGPT.
Yeah,
And yeah, like what's your take?
on ChatGPT on its own, or
No, the fact that yes, we identify that there is this need, and
yeah,
it's there is a need, and it's actually really healthy, and it's really natural to have a human connection and talk about it. It's like
a
it's so cleansing.
a
It's just
hundred
beautiful.
percent. 100%. And I think just to jump in here, very good example. I was sat literally on my desk a few hours ago and I looked at my email. I was waiting for a deal to come through. And, as someone who works in tech and sales, you get all these emotions. And I looked at my colleague that was sitting right next to me and I was like, this person just confirmed above 50K deal by literally writing back an email that was ChatGPT formed. Again, if you use ChatGPT, you can tell by the way the wording is and by the way the grammar is and the lines and the punctuation that this is not a human writing it. So on the receiving end, you almost feel like wait a minute. I put all my effort. It took me probably 3 months to close this deal down. I've been going back and forth and putting in energy and, time is money, time is energy, like energy is everything. We all know that. It comes to a point where you receive a message that is drafted by ChatGPT. Um, so it's great in the sense that it saves us time on so many things and there's so many efficiencies to it. But on that human aspect, on that humanistic aspect where you need that human interaction and you need that authenticity, going back to that main theme as you mentioned, um, I don't think we're ever going to get to a place where AI or ChatGPT can do that. You're still going to need that human interaction and that human connection and that authenticity as a whole.
That's music to my ears. Because
Yeah, what are your
I
thoughts?
agree. I I fully agree. The element of human connection is never gonna be replaced. Because also from the very biological perspective, it's well-known fact that when you are next to another human being, why hugging is so important. when hugging therapy. Like, you need another human being. Um, Vivek Murthy describes in his book on loneliness how social media were the first moment when the connection in the society started breaking, because people thought that the commenting under your pictures is a form of communication. Is not. You need to hear the voice, you need to see the other person. It's already started making people believe that if you just gonna be commenting something on someone's Facebook and Instagram, that's gonna um allow to build a connection, which is
Yeah.
not true.
Yeah.
And then pandemic happened, when children were taught that, oh, you can build relationship and connection through online medium. And then we adults, we are taught that you can work remotely, which in my opinion is barely impossible, because you need human interaction. And now we've got the
100%.
first way to have with AI companion and AI girlfriends and AI boyfriends. And it's only depends how we are forgetting that we are humans. I don't believe that it's ever gonna be replaced. We need each other. Like, we need human beings next to us, because
100%.
that's only then you can dance. Only then you can really experience it. And it's funny, in the, let's say, spiritual space, there's this concept of spiritual bypassing, that you live in your
Yeah.
solitude and then you're so enlightened, and then you know everything. But only when you are with another human being you can see your energy, because the other person is your reflection. So
Exactly.
unless there is someone next to you, you just in your own bubble. It's like you are talking, like you are being your own chat GPT. Like, if chat GPT is just an echo chamber that you're literally talking to yourself,
Yeah.
then that's it. There's nothing else. But I truly believe that it can be used in order to help us understand our internal narrative, because it's a great observation point. It can really point out to us things that we don't see in ourselves, because the pure
Yeah.
purpose of AI is to analyze patterns. So it can really analyze patterns of our behavior and help us understand what is that we are not seeing. And then with this knowledge, we can build stronger connection with other human beings. But it, in my opinion, it will never ever replace human connections. I mean, if it will, we are doomed.
Yeah. I don't know how long it will take them to do that, but I echo what you say. I think we will be doomed. And, like Joe Dispenza does say, one of his favorite quotes for me is humans are wired to need other human beings. That's how we
Mm,
grow. A lot of times, for example, in relationships, people think that, like, oh, I'm gonna take a break, or I'm gonna, and, like I've just had a breakup and I'm gonna learn about myself now and deep dive into, doing things on my own. And it's more of that's kind of what ChatGPT is doing. You're becoming more like a robot behind the screen. But actually, if you think of it from a 3D dimension, um, you grow with another individual. You learn about yourself through another individual. You don't learn from just being behind a computer. And you could take the patterns, as you said, and take the data if you want and make some sense out of it. And that's where the analysis comes in. But I do think on a day-to-day basis, the way you learn, the way you grow, the way you just thrive is through other people. And I think, a lot of times when I go to a job interview, people, I recently moved jobs, and one of the questions I got asked was, why sales? It's very challenging now, and sales could be overtaken by AI. And my answer was exactly what you just mentioned, which is, I don't think AI can take over the humanistic, approach. One of the best practices within sales is something I follow through with is called disc profiles, which is understanding different individuals and how they are in life, kind of like attachment styles
mhm.
in relationships, but it's kind of understanding their personalities in the workspace and how to communicate with them to give them what they need to close a deal. Right. And that is something that I personally am not convinced that AI can do, maybe in 100 years from now, but I don't think that is anywhere close.
Yeah, it's is this little subtleties of of tone of voice and your body language, i- how you roll your eyes at particular moments. It's all of this.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
100%. And I
Beautiful.
think 100%. And I think that's where, Tantra also comes back into place. I know I keep bringing up Tantra here, but you see, it's a way of life. It's not something that you go do for an hour and leave. But once you get comfortable within yourself and once
Mm.
you understand your what I call shadows, or you understand your subconscious and the mirrors and everything, you're able to radiate the best version of yourself, and people feed off of that. And once this is what personal development is for me. At the end of the day, it's for
Mm.
myself, but it's for the ecosystem around me, my people, and just like people in that need this love, that need this hope, and that need this way of growth as well.
It's almost like a cliche when we say that first you put your in the airplane you put your own mask first, but that's the logic behind it. When you are actually radiating your best self because you dedicated this time to take care of yourself, you understand yourself, you know how to take care of your needs, you are able to say no when it's needed,
Yeah,
then you've got so much more to give, so much more. And you just want to give because once you've got everything that you need for yourself, there's nothing else. It's just abundance is
it's
just keep
abundance.
flowing.
Exactly. And it's getting to that place where you can live in abundance. And I remember one of my friends was speaking to me a few years ago when I was, speaking to him about, my journey with the spiritual world and why I'm tapping into this. And he said to me, he's like, you are a giver. And if you keep giving, 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 you're going to resent yourself. And life isn't about just giving, it's about keeping your cup full to a point
Mm,
where you're very content with what you have, in order to just throw that into the world and really just let people feed off of your container. And that really stuck with me. And I think that really is a good way of putting it. I think growth is, or the way of life is, you feed me, I feed you, but we
mm.
grow together. And the only way we can do that is when I've taken care of myself fully.
And in this caveat of taking care of oneself, there is the aspect of receiving. We already spoke about how we overgive, but how does it work with receiving? Because it's also tricky. I mean, from my personal perspective, I did struggle a lot with receiving. Just stop giving and receive,
Yeah.
because it was almost like unnatural.
Yeah. I think I struggle with it too, and I'm this is where I think, you and I are both Sagittariuses, and our paths kind of
Yeah.
shed light on one another. But I think it's once you understand, I think there are three things that tie into the formula. I think once you understand your value, once you
Mm,
know what you deserve, and knowing like what is going to move you forward in life, or what's good for you and what's not. And once your body gives you that yes, like an enthusiastic yes, as
mm,
in, this is something I want to receive, then only then would you be able to open up that portal. And it is kind of like a portal, because at the end of the day, it's receiving things internally. And I think, again, like Tantra, there's a misconception around, if I, ask for something, or if I'm just sitting there, and people are giving me things, am I worthy of it? What
mm,
does that make me? What have I done to achieve it? Like all these things that society could have put onto us. Um, but once you're content with yourself, and once you know your value, I think every person should feel what it means to give and to receive. And in a non-transactional way, of course,
yeah.
but just on a very humanistic, intimate way. Yeah.
Beautiful. The closing question. What an advice you would give to your younger self?
we're tapping into a therapy session. I feel like this is a question that, I've been asking myself a lot. And the reason why I say therapy is because I think, again, it all goes back to working on your inner child and really developing that inner child in order to feel that abundance and that acceptance and everything we did discuss today. Um, my advice would be accept yourself and love yourself first. Um, put yourself first. And I would also tell myself, you don't need to rush. You're not
Mm,
behind. Life isn't a race. You need to slow down. Slowing down, I mean, honestly, like I think if again Tantra has taught me anything, it's really taking your time, like really meditating, like marinating your thoughts, really sitting with those emotions, let them come up, let these things arise. And almost thinking of it, the best way I put it is like clouds. If anyone has gone cloud watching, it's literally just seeing like the clouds go by
mm.
and letting them pass and just slow down. And I think that sums it all up. Like, put yourself first, love yourself, and slow down. Slow down.
I love it. I I love it. Especially this slow down. Yes, 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 and yes.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, if they just recognize that they need to just take a breath
Mm,
and do things slowly, intuitively, things will flow much better because we're wired again, going back to the topic of AI and stuff, we're wired to move, move, move quick. What's the next big thing? Chasing the highs. We have these chemicals, whether it's dopamine, endorphins, whatever it is, to just keep us on the go. And sometimes it's really
yeah.
that stillness gives you the answers. And I think I wish, I knew that sooner. But again, it's one of those things where I learned the hard way, and it's something that's in development.
Oh, I feel like I'm still learning that. I'm still learning to slow down.
It's
So
very
that's
hard.
it's
It, it's
hard.
it's it is very hard because again, you can only do so much to take care of yourself, but there's the whole world around you that's happening that's very enticing and provocative and but then you just need to like align, go
Mm,
back internally, turn into your heart space. I always say to my friends, like always tune into your heart, not into your mind only, and do a body scan, do a body check. How does that sit with me? How do I feel this morning? Do I need to slow down? Do I need to, speed it up? Just listening to your body and letting your body take over.
beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, and beautiful. Nas, thank you so much from this heartwarming conversation. It was an honor, a pleasure. I deeply enjoyed it.
You
And thank you
too.
for sharing your wisdom with the world.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for doing what you do every day. And I think, it's people like you that we need in this world as well. So, yeah, keep
Thank you, thank you.
striving.
Have a lovely evening and talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye. Bye.